वेलकम यू ऑल टू एआई की पाठशाला। एआई की पाठशाला आपकी अपनी पाठशाला है और मैं आपका दोस्त, आपका छोटा भाई, आपका बड़ा भाई अनूप स्वागत करता हूं आप सभी का अपनी पाठशाला में। तो सो व्हाट वी वेर डिस्कसिंग द pandas and we have started the pandas boot camp, and in the boot camp today is the third session in the pandas series of boot camp. So let me share you my screen and let's discuss. Today we are going to start series in pandas. So let me first tell you what is series in pandas. The definition of series is like, let me write it here. Series are one-dimensional labeled arrays of any data type, So we will try to understand this thing, what I have written here. So let me write some code, and along with this code, I'm going to discuss what series is and every details about the series. First of all, what we used to do, we have to import pandas and numpy. So let's import pandas as pd. Let's import numpy as np and run your code. Okay, numpy as np, and let's run your code. Fine. Now I'm going to create a list of students. Let's create a list of student. Let me write the list of student. The name of first student is Varun. Name of second student is Shankar. And the name of third student is, let's say, Ruchi. This is a list we already know from our previous knowledge. If I run it and if I check the type of it, I will get as list as my type. Let's check students here. If I will check, I will get the type as list. Fine. Now, see what I have told you. Series are one-dimensional labeled arrays of any data type. So let's create a series from this list of students that I have created, this list. From this list, I am going to create pandas series. So how to create the pandas series? For creating the pandas series, I have to first write pd, then dot, then capital S. If I am writing this, I am getting this option. Can you see here? Series. Let's select it. And inside this, pass students. If you will pass this, and if I am going to run this, I am getting this in the form of this in vertical order. Can you see? On one side, I am getting 0, 1, 2, and on another side, I am getting the name that I have given here, Varun, Shankar, and Ruchi. So this is called series. This is how we used to create a series in pandas. Now, if you can see the data type of this series, it is giving you object. 0, 1, 2, 3, this you can call it as index position, because we have created this series from this list, and we know that list is an ordered, and it is an ordered object, and it follows a proper indexing 0, 1, 2 likewise, and this is basically an index 0, 1, 2 index of this series. This is also called label. We are going to understand this in the future. Let me write it here. This we used to call, okay. This is called level. Here level are 0, 1, 2, and this is the actual values. Fine. Now, can you see the difference? Here I am getting list and here I am getting object. Now, let's take another variable, ages. I am writing ages, and let's put some ages here. Let's put the age like 27. Let's put age 40. Let's put age 30. Fine. So if let's say you run this is also a list, but this list is having integer values only. This list, earlier list was having string values. All the values inside this list was string. This time all the values I have taken as an integer value. Now with this value I am going to create a series, Pandas series. So same method I will use, pd.series, and then I will pass ages here. If I am passing ages, can you see this series has been created? But this time the data type, it is showing to be integer 64. That means 64-bit integer. The data type of this series is 64-bit integer. But here the data type is object. See, whenever you will be having any string values inside your series, it will give you the data type of that will always be an object data type. Now, let's create another variable. This time I am creating the variable height, and let's write some height inside it. This list, let's create height 173 point, let's say 5, comma 164, comma 185.0. Let's say this is my height. And this time, as you know, inside this list, one value is integer and the two other values are floating point values. So now let's create a series from this list. Same way, you have to pass this height here, height. If I am passing this height and if I'm creating my list, if I'm creating my series, can you see I'm getting float 64. That is 64-bit floating point. The data type is float 64 here. Earlier data type was int 64. Before that data type was object. So here what is happening, automatically this Panda is converting the integer value that is present inside it into a floating point value. And we have already discussed this inside the NumPy yesterday, because internally what happens that pandas also pandas depend on NumPy. So actually they here upcasting, implicit upcasting is taking place. That is, implicitly this value pandas is automatically converting this integer into the floating point value, and we are getting the data type as float 64. Now let's take another variable, and I am writing the name of this variable as mixed. And this time let's add different data object, different type of data. So let's first write one Boolean data type value. Other, let's write, I am writing AIML. This is my string data. And let's create a dictionary here. So let's say I am writing inside this dictionary key value pair. We know key is marks and the value is, let's say, 100. This is a key value pair of my dictionary. Fine. So this is a kind of, so this is a mixed data type. Here inside this variable, I've created a list of mixed data type. And let's run this. Now, if I pass this mixed pd.series, let's create a series. And if I pass this mixed inside it, see what I am getting. I am getting this, like first I am getting this true, then I am getting this AIML, then I am getting this thing. This is counted at one value. So this dictionary is coming here, and data type is object. Here I am getting object data type. So whenever it happens that there is a mix of data or there is any string data, whenever there is a one string data present, it will automatically give you the object data type. And you don't need to tell the pandas the data type. Pandas is smart enough to automatically take the data type itself. And the second thing is that Panda is smart enough that it will automatically assign this level, this index value 0, 1, 2, because this is an ordered value. So it automatically assigns it. We will understand this. So in summary, till here, what we have understood that series is simply one-dimensional sequence of values with associated labels. This is a sequence of values and this is the associated label with this value. Now, second thing that I want to discuss here is called parameters versus arguments. See, I'm covering very small concepts because I want slowly and progressively we will build, and then we will jump to some complex concepts. And whatever thing that I am discussing, lot of things I have already been discussed in my basic Python or some advanced Python section, but still I am covering this here also. So see, there is one concept called parameter versus arguments. So those of you who have learned functions, you must be knowing this. And those of you who do not know, it's time for you. So now let me series, and let's say I'm taking this students. Fine. So to create, first let's see, to create this series pd.series, what we were doing, we are passing something called student. What is a student? Student is basically a list of students. This is a student, and we were doing like this pd.series, and we were passing this students. So what exactly we are doing in the pd.series, this student is my argument. The student is my argument. Then if it is an argument, whatever value I am passing here, this is a argument. Now let's say if I will write this thing like it's like, you can also write it like data is equal to students. So if I can write it like this, data is equal to student, and if I will run this code, I will get the same output, same thing here. So here what is happening is that we can understand this in this way. Here data is my parameter, this is my parameter, and the student is my argument. And you can think of parameter as what? Variables. You can think of parameter as variables in method definition. So this is a variable and this is an actual value that I am passing. So arguments are basically actual values that are associated with the parameters. And here data is called parameter and students are called arguments. Fine. And it applies to Python, and in general programming terminology also we use the same concepts. So I suppose this thing is clear to you. Now let it understand it in a by taking one more example. Let's say I'm writing one function def and I'm writing greetings. This is my function. And here inside this function, let's say I am writing something. So if I write this variable as something, and I want to print this something. Fine. So this is a function, and if I call this function greeting, if I call this function and I pass something inside this function, let's pass good night inside this function. And if you will run this, you will get this good night. So what I want to tell you is that here something is my parameter and this good morning is my argument. Inside this function, this something is my basically this is my parameter meter, and this good night, this is the actual value, this is my argument. Very simple thing. Fine. Let's move ahead and let's go to next thing. Now let's create one variable, and the name of this variable is, let's say, books underscore list. I want to create the list of books. So let's create the list of few books. I'm creating first name as, let's write Hamlet. This book is written by William Shakespeare, I suppose. And second book, let's write the name Pride and Prejudice. And Prejudice. And this book, I suppose, is written by Jane Austen. And third book, let's write The Lord of the Rings. Fine. And this book, I suppose, is written by Tolkien. So this is the list of books that I have created. Now let's run this and let's create a series out of this book, this list pd dot series, and pd dot series, and let's pass this books underscore list and run it. Can you see I'm getting this thing? This is my level, this is my values associated with this level, and the string values. So I'm getting data type as object. So
here the book list is our parameter. No, it's a variable, na? Book list is the variable, na?
yes,
There.
yes, books underscore list is my variable, and this is the value inside this variable.
Okay, okay.
This list is the value inside this variable. List of book is the value inside this variable. Right? So what I actually wanted you to know, this is this list that I have created. It is actually resembling like this. See, this is something like, if you will understand, this is like the 0, 1, and you can write here 2. Can you see, if you will be if you will index this list, you will get 0 here, 1 here, and 2 here. So in the if you will write a dictionary like that, what it is, 0 refers to this Hamlet, 1 refers to this Pride and Prejudice, and 2 refers to the Lord of Rings. This is how actually this series is doing. If you will run it, definitely you will get an error, because this is not, it is not a valid syntax. So it will give you an error, because this is a way of writing it dictionary. But internally, what I want to understand you, that internally this series is doing like this thing. It is assigning 0 to Hamlet, 1 to Pride and Prejudice, and 2 to the Lord of Rings. Now,
सर वन क्वेश्चन
fine. Tell me question.
सर कि इस पैंडा सीरीज का सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है?
Okay. So we will understand the significance. We have to wait for some time. I'm going to discuss all those things, because first I'm going to study series. Thereafter, after this series, you will understand the data frame. Then you will, when we will understand the data frame, everything is connected. Then I will start exploring the data, that is exploratory data analysis. Then you will automatically understand the significance. So it's too early to uh, what I want right now, just focus on these things. In some time, after few lectures, you will understand the significance. So मोटा मोटी मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ कि ये जितना भी हम अभी कंसेप्ट पढ़ रहे हैं, जैसे पीडी डॉट सीरीज पढ़ रहे हैं, इसके बाद हम डेटा फ्रेम पढ़ेंगे, इसके बाद और भी बहुत सारी चीजें पढ़ेंगे, ये सारा चीजों का सिग्निफिकेंस ये है कि whenever we used to do the exploratory data analysis, whenever I want to perform the exploratory data analysis, at that time we are going to use all these things, and slowly one concept, first I'm learning the A, then B, then C, and then D. So first, this is a series the series that I'm learning right now, this is a preparation for learning the data frame. Data frame is one step ahead of series. So when you understand series, it is very easy for you to understand the data frame. And then after data frame, lot of things will come. And we are going to use all these concepts when we will be doing the exploratory data analysis. Fine. Is this thing clear to you, Varun?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So, without wasting the time, let's, so this is let me do one thing. This is a book underscore list. Let me copy this and let me paste it here. Now instead of this list, I am creating books underscore dict, this variable. And let's remove this square bracket and let's select this and place this curly bracket. This is, and I'm going to put 0 here, and let's put 1 here, and let's put 2 here. Now, earlier I have created a list. This was my list of books. Now I have created a dictionary of books. Now here it is in the form of key value pair. So first is my key, 0 is my key, and the value associated with it. First is my key and the value associated with it. First, this is my key and value associated. Now let's run this. After that, I'm going to create a series. Let's create a series, and books underscore, this time I am going to pass this dict, books underscore dict. And if I run this, can you please see this thing clearly? And then also see this thing. Can you see any difference in these two? This thing and this thing. There is no difference in this thing. Data type of both are object, and I am getting the same thing here also and same thing here also. So if you are creating a books underscore dict, actually here also what I have told you, the pandas is internally assigning this values, internally assigning this level in this way only. This was the purpose of explaining you this dictionary. Now, let me check it in another way to make myself much more sure. So this is a, if I will, let's say, let's store this in some variable list underscore s, and let's store this pd dot series, and let's store this books underscore list, and let's run this, and let's create another variable called dict underscore s, that means series of dictionary, and let's write pd dot series here also, and let's parse books underscore dict here, and run also. If I want to check whether both are equal or not. To check this, what you need to do, list underscore s dot equals, and then inside it you have to pass dict underscore s. So it will check whether this list underscore s and dict underscore s are equal or not. So let's run this. I'm getting true. That means this thing and this thing both are equal. Now let's take some scalar values and create a series out of this. Let me take one number, simple number. Let me write here series, and let's take any number 654, and let's create a series. Can you see? here I am, if I will pass one single value also, it will create a list and it will assign a label to it, that is 0. Now let's take one single string and create a series out of this. I'm taking this as single string. Let's take my name Anup and let's pass it. Since this is a string value, I'm getting object here. Fine. Let's access ages that we have defined earlier, and let's create pd.series. We have already created, I suppose, series, and if I pass ages, what I am getting? This thing. Fine. Now see here what is happening. Panda, whatever, let's say here ages is a list of my integer values, and pandas automatically understands that this is an integer, and integer, all the values inside it is integer, and it is automatically assigning the data type of this variable as int64. Now if let's say there is one option for you that you can also assign the data type. This is the default data type that automatically pandas is taking. You can also give it a data type. Let's say I'm giving a D type. For giving it a data type, you have to write D type here is equal to, and let's say you want to assign the data type float, float float. So you have to mention the data type. Here it is automatically taking integer. Now I'm asking it to take the data type as float. Now if I will run this, let's say pd.series is why I'm getting the index.
Sir, you have written float wrong.
Okay. float. Fine. Thanks, Varun. So can you see now I have asked it to take the float values. So now it is taking the float values and it is giving me the data type is float. Let me write something here for you. D type of data type for series, this is for you, containing strings
In this previous one, the data also converted into the value also converted into float. No, earlier it was integer and now it's converted into float.
Yes, because the data type depends upon the values only, na?
Yeah, so it's converted into float only.
Yes, it will
So we
convert.
can change the value by changing the data type like this.
Yes.
Okay.
So data type of series containing a string become an object automatically. This is just for your understanding. So let me access this students here. What I have written? These values. Now let me write here names underscore series. This is another variable I'm writing, and inside this let me write pd.series, and inside this pass students. If I pass this thing here, and then if I will access this names underscore series, what I will get? I will get this thing. If you will want to check the data type of it, how there is one way to check the data type here. Let me check the data type here. Let me check the data type of this names underscore series, and dot, you have to simply type D type. If you will simply type this, you will get D type O. O means object data type. Fine. Now, one thing is that key even pandas internally depends on NumPy for its operations. Now, and NumPy always expects homogeneous or same type of data. NumPy always is having homogeneous or same type of data. So let me take the data of height that we have created earlier. Let's access this data height. I'm getting this. This is a mix of integer and floating point number. And if I will take, let's say, height 2, HEIGHT, heights 2. Let's take this variable, and inside this variable, let's write 173.5, this value only I'm going to write, and 164, and then write 185.0. So what actually I have done, I have written a floating point value here. And I have converted this into a string value. So if I will, let's run this, and if I'm going to create a series from this pd.series, what should be the data type here? Can any one of you guess? What should be the data type here? The data type will be an object. Why? Because this value is my string value. So any one of the value, if it would be a string, it will automatically take the data type as an object. Now, going to the next part, let me explain you something. One thing that I wanted to explain it to you, so let me first explain this thing. Let's say what is happening inside this NumPy that I have told you. Inside the NumPy, what happens is that if I have given 3 floating point values, so let's say these are my float, and float. So NumPy expect the homogeneous type of data. NumPy always expects the homogeneous type of data. That means the data type of all the data should be same. NumPy expect homogeneous or same type of data. Same type of data, same type data. And this is a floating data, let's say. So if you are creating series, so this is a floating data. There is no problem in it. But let's say if you will create a string, let's say I am creating one string, and let's say this string is my name is Anup Jha. Let's say this is one string. So inside this string, all the string are of variable length. So what is happening there? They will occupy a different memory space inside the memory. So they are heterogeneous. So in this is because of the presence of variable length string. This is a variable length string because the length of different strings will be different. That's why what happens is that presence of this variable length string forces pandas to store pointers or references instead of actual values. So this is like, if this is, let's say if this is a string, if this is a some string, so what happens, let me erase this thing here and write it here. So what happens is that this is object reference, this is object reference, this is object reference, and so on. So let's say this is pointing towards, this reference is pointing here, let's say this is pointing towards here, and this may point towards somewhere else, let's say here. So what is happening, this is a numpy way of doing the things. So instead of the actual values, the references, pointers or references will get stored in the memory to deal with the variable length string. So let's move ahead and let's erase this. So now let me explain you one more thing. If I will, let's say, access list underscore s here, let's run this, I'm getting this. Now, one thing is that I may create one series. By default, what it is taking, if I'm not assigning the, if I'm not giving any level from my side, it is taking 0, 1, 2, 3 as it starts from 0 index. So it is taking the index, kind of indexing value it is taking and giving it a level here. But it is not necessary. We can even supply a level here. So whatever level we will supply, it will take that name. Let's say I have to, if you will just do this, if you will write here data is, let's say data is equal to, and you will pass books underscore list, comma, thereafter index, if you pass index is equal to, and inside this index let's pass 3 values because we are having a 3 list of books. So let's write anything. Let's write serious, and let's write funny, let's write interesting. Fine. And this time let's run this. Now, can you see, instead of this index value, it is taking this index that I have supplied here. So at 0 position, it is taking this value serious. At at 1 position, it is taking this funny, and at 2nd position, it has taken interesting. And it is not mandatory to mention this data or index, because if I will take this and let's remove this thing data, and let's remove this index. If you will simply supply this, because this is the order, if you simply supply this and run this, you will get exactly the same. So even it is not mandatory to mention this data and index here. This is one thing. And data type is object. So after that, let me explain you one more thing. Even you can mention the data type also. So the first thing was the data, second thing is the object, and the third thing is, you can even see from here, it is, you can even, everything is mentioned here. You can even see here, if you will see, sequence, date time, date index, index, can you see? Index, then axis, it is like that. So I'm here mentioning my third data type here, D type. Let's write D type is equal to object. OBJECT object. Let's write here. And let's run this. You will exactly guess the same thing. Here, Pandas is automatically taking the object. Here I am writing it to take an data type as object. But if you will not mention, it will take the data type as object. Now, one feature that was not present in the earlier version of Pandas, but the latest version of Pandas is having. You can also here mention the, instead of this object, you can also mention the string. Here you can also write the string, and it will take the string value. Data type as string. So these are all the code, and this is all for today's session. I'm not going to discuss anything more. So we will see in the next session, and I'm going on a long break of, let's say, 7-8 days. So when I will be coming back, we will start. So let's first commit this code. So how you will commit this code? You have to go here. First, you have to save whatever I have written, Control S or Command S. If you simply type Control or Command S, it will get saved. Here you can see this white button, dot. If I will save it, that dot will go away. So let's save this. But this is not getting saved. Fine. It has been saved. Now you have to, this is a source control. You have to click on this source control, and then you have to write one message. So let me write message. Third, session 3 of Pandas completed today. Fine. After writing message, whatever message you want to write, you have to click on this commit button. Then it will ask you, would you like to stage all your changes and commit them directly? Then you have to click yes. Thereafter, you have to click on sync changes. After that, you have to click on OK. And then it will take few seconds and your code will get committed to GitHub. Now, if I will go to the GitHub, all the code that I have discussed today will be present. So this is one repository I have created by the name pandas_bootcamp, and I will be going to upload all my code inside this repository. Today is day 3rd. In the day 4th, I will create another file here and I will write all the code inside that file. So similarly, I will keep on going like that. So you can access all the source code from one repository only. So this is all for the day. So guys, let me stop sharing you my screen to be open you my videos. So guys, those of you who are watching the recorded session, I request you. So if you are having any doubts, you can put it in the comment section of the video. And for accessing the live session, you can subscribe my Telegram channel from the description section of the video. And because I send my joining link in the Telegram group and channel. So this is all. We will be meeting you soon. So take care. Bye bye. Happy learning.
Have a safe and happy journey, sir.